Hey, everybody. Well, all the way from London, I have Kelly Thiebaud with me. We have the official postmortem
We do, yes.
of her amazing run as Britt Westbourne on General Hospital. And Kelly, I'm so glad we're getting to do this, even though we're miles apart.
I know.
Country apart. But thank you. So you knew, obviously, the audience did not. We were thinking, oh, Britt's going to go off into her secret identity and just we'll keep her alive. We're going to keep her alive. And then we were all shocked when you actually died.
Yeah, died. Yeah.
I don't know how else you call it in soaps, right? Because people are dead and then they come back. So I'm saying,
yeah.
Did you know this is how it was going to go? Did you want to be dead?
Yeah, I wanted to be dead. Yeah, as sad as that is to say, because I really love playing Britt. I really, really do. I had so much fun on the show, and I feel really lucky with that character. Yeah. When Ron left, they could have done anything with the character, and there's been some bumpy roads, that Britt's gone down, but overall, I really loved playing her. But just where I am in my life now, and things that I want to do, it was basically like Frank was like, "You want to die, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think we should kill her." And it's sad, but it is what it is.
Did you ever, in the process of knowing what you decided, and I was reading, some things, did you have moments when you were on set, but you knew you were going to be leaving, that you had any regret? Because it's always a hard thing when you're in the middle of it, but you're going. Or were you feeling like, I'm glad I made this decision, I'm enjoying this as I do it? How were you through that?
It was a little bit of both. My last week of shooting was so hectic because we did the party and then the death scene. And there was it was just like ridiculously long days. So throughout that week, I had these moments walking up on stage where I would kind of go, oh, I'm going to miss this, and I would watch people perform and I'd be like, wow, I kind of finally get what daytime is. It was like this like after effect that hit me. I've been on the show on and off for 9 years. And there was something about that week that just felt like it clicked and I got it. And I really appreciated it. And I really was grateful for having this experience on such a legacy show. But at the same time, I never had any questions about it. Like, oh, should I do this? I always knew it was the right thing. But there were moments where I was like, wow, this is sad. I felt sad that I was leaving it. And I felt sad that I was leaving Britt. And I felt, I did feel guilty taking her away from the fans. Now, look, they could have recast her, but for whatever reason, Frank didn't. That wasn't part of the conversation, which I absolutely love. I would hate for someone else to play Britt.
Can you imagine? I couldn't even like, who would?
Yeah, awful. Or maybe it would be great, and then it would really suck for me. It'd be a double whammy.
Isn't this recast good?
Yeah, I'm reading it on Twitter, like people loving the new actress. Shoot me, that'd be hard. But
I think it actually did you a solid buy. I think it was like, in kudos to you, it is a solid to kill her and not even leave it open like, oh, I'm sorry you're leaving, but we're going to recast. I mean, that wasn't even the conversation, right?
No, it wasn't. There was no conversation. And the way that they did it, with the party was so beautiful. I got to sing with Brad and Parry, and it was just, it felt very special. And I thought that they really, sent her out in a good way. I wasn't really happy about the way she went, but we can talk about that later.
We'll get into that in a minute, but I have some thoughts on that. When you and Parry, you got to do I Knew You Were Waiting for Me, which is one of my favorite songs by Aretha and George Michael.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So you guys went in to record it, right? You pre-recorded it. What was that like? Were you guys joked? Like, how was the recording session of it?
Oh my gosh, I went first and I was so nervous because I've done voiceover work and I do karaoke, but like I've never been in a booth and sang, and I'm probably a little tone deaf also, because I'm like, oh, I'm so good. And then you hear it and you're like, oh shit. I sent it to my boyfriend and I'm like, this is actually really terrible.
Oh, wait, he said that?
No, I said that. No. But that's why we recorded the track, because we did sing it live, but the pre-recorded track helps kind of amplify everything, That was so much fun. That honestly, I had a blast doing that. It was like the best day to go into the studio and record it, and singing Aretha. I mean, come on. I was like, really? This is what you're giving me? Okay, I'm going to have fun with it. I'm just going to.
Here's your send off. We're giving you Aretha. You have to.
Yeah. It's like, I thought this was supposed to be like, a special moment. It seems like you're torturing me or something. Yeah.
So when of course, the Station 19 thing came out in August of last year, that you were going to revive, reprise your role. And so that's when everyone was like, oh, what's happening here?
Yeah.
But even at that point, you were going to be out of it.
At that point, the decision was made actually a week before the Emmys. I
You kept that from me.
What'd you say?
You kept that from me.
I give you all my secrets,
Right, yeah. So the week before the Emmy, you had already.
Yeah, a week before the Emmys, I already knew that I talked to Frank, multiple conversations with Frank, and he finally, agreed to do this. I wanted to go and do other things in my life, which is one of the things I'm doing right now here in London. And so the Station 19 thing started, that conversation started happening in July. And it was always just me going back as a recurring character I thought it was going to be 5 episodes. It ended up being 4. I don't know how it got confusing for people in the Deadline article that came out that was like, oh, she's leaving GH and she's going on here. That never was the case. And when I said that, because there was an article that came out recently where I'd said that if I wanted to, I could have done both. That was if I was going to be a series regular character on Station 19. But that was never a conversation. I was only there for a short amount of time.
Reprising Eva.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So you're only there for a short amount of time. You're not on the show.
Yeah, I'm not on the show.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think there was a little bit of confusion there. And we live in a time in social media and everything where everybody's interpreting what every word, every little thing, and blowing it up into stories or like an item,
I know.
Which
And I just have to kind of keep my mouth shut. I knew eventually like it would come out and people would find out. So it's just kind of like reading the stories and being like, well, you'll soon know the truth.
So now, interesting, now that you're telling me that, the night you won the Emmy, and we got to celebrate it at that point when you won, were you like, wait, I'm leaving the show and I just won an Emmy? Wait.
I know. Well, then I was like, is he going to change his mind and not let me leave? You know what I mean? I was like, is this going to backfire on me? What's going to happen? But yeah, it was very, winning the Emmy and then, leaving the show last year. It was all like just an incredible experience.
So in the final, the final setup for Britt, it was so sad because, she was leaving everybody. Her Huntington disease had progressed. And those scenes were so sad. She's just so in herself. Like, you saw the struggle she would go through. Were those scenes, just as an actress, hard to play? Or did you like those? Because, she was really struggling with it and making the decision that I'm getting worse. I just want to be by myself and not let anyone see me like this.
Yeah. You're talking about when the Huntingtons fully started kicking in and she knew short amount of time. Yeah, it was awful. I don't know why, but I really connected to that storyline deeply. And it was terrible shooting those scenes. I mean, I even texted my boyfriend like, hey, if I'm not myself, like if I'm in a really bad mood or in a bad place where I don't want to talk, like it's because of this, because you do have to in some way put yourself into a situation like that. You know, you have to try to feel or go through the pain of what your character is going through. I will never know what it's like to have Huntington's, but it was awful. I struggled a little bit with some of the stuff of like why I wasn't telling like Brad or Parry. No, sorry, Brad.
Brad.
Why I wasn't telling Brad. But there was also something really beautiful about that, because it became this like very private thing for her, and she was able to make this like private decision and not have any other influences besides Austin. But yeah, it was really sad. It was a really like sad time for me shooting that stuff, because it's such a tragic situation.
With you and Steve Burton, and that worked so well, the fact that it got aborted, did it play into your thought of, okay, wait, I don't have what I thought this was going to be?
For sure. So when he left, it was pretty like upsetting. Yeah, it's pretty upsetting for me.
I do remember watching you and Steve, and it was just, you could tell.
Yeah.
And I have to say, knowing Steve as well as I do, he obviously felt there was something there, because he's had scene partners over the years.
Yeah.
He knew there was something, right?
Yeah.
That was working on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, do you think that if you would have stayed, that Roger Howarth would have been a good on-screen pairing for Britt?
It's hard to say. I definitely see how there could have been something there, but I also really loved the friendship. And I don't know if crossing those lines would have been as good as them being friends, like, but I love Roger. I think he's so incredibly talented and witty and weird in the best way. You know what I mean? Like, our humor, we just got each other and we riffed off of like, doing our scenes. We just would riff and go off page. And it was so spontaneous and fun. And I don't know. I really don't know how it would have turned out, but I get why people were like, ooh, there's something there,
Right. And then with Josh Kelly, how is it working with Josh? Because that seemed like the reason he was brought in originally. And
yeah, Josh is great. It just didn't, in my opinion, it just didn't work. I felt like we were more siblings than anything, and
did you think over the time, how many years were you there?
Someone said on Twitter, I guess it was on and off for 9 years, which blows my mind.
Shocking. So on and off for 9 years. When you think back, is there a couple scenes through the time that stand out to you that you really, really like? Kelly was good in that. Or something that with you as a great memory of a moment. Did you like playing when she was bitchier?
I did love playing her when she was bitchy. I put together this little kind of tribute that I posted.
Oh, it was amazing. We all cried. It was amazing.
I wanted to add so many more videos, but it was getting quite long, so I had to condense. But it was interesting going through all, I didn't get to see everything because you can only find so much on YouTube, but it was really nice to see the arc. And although I loved playing her bitchy and, the bad girl, like, I'm so glad she didn't stay that way.
She evolved. We saw her evolve, which was great.
Really, yeah. I'd say probably the two scenes that pop in my mind. One, the breakup scene with Jason. I just, not only did I love the acting in that, I loved the editing and the music that they added to it. I thought was really beautiful. And I love working with Steve. So obviously that would be one of my favorites. But another one is when Britt gets drunk at the pool and she just loses right before she falls in and meets Cody. And, that whole, it just was so fun. And I tapped into something there, and it was great.
So how much of you do you think is Britt?
That's tough. It's really tough. I am not Britt, but there is something about Britt that allows this personality that I have to really come out. But I am not, you know, I don't act like that in my everyday life, but it's in me, you know. I'd say that a huge part of a big part of Britt is myself, mixed with a lot of other things.
So I want to just bring up a couple. I wanted to get a few words. I'm going to tell you some of your castmates, and I would like you to say a few words about them.
Okay.
Okay. So Parry, what would you say about Parry Shen and working with Parry?
Absolutely adore him so much. The best. I couldn't have been partnered with a better best friend on the show. We had so much fun. He's so easygoing, and he's so funny, and he was perfect for Brad, and he was perfect for Britt. And I will miss that relationship deeply.
And Kirsten Storms is Maxie.
Kirsten, she's the best. She really is. Like, again, another one that's like so funny, so professional, but also like cool. Like, I kind of looked up to her because she's just a legend and has been acting since she was a kid, and she's so experienced, but also just like really funny. And she takes care of people. When we were shooting the party scene, she ordered everyone Starbucks. Like, she's just a good person.
She's got great comedic timing too.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, she does. Yeah.
Like great.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Cassandra James, you both got to play co-chief of staff.
Yeah, I know.
Well.
Yeah.
What was it like working with her and talking
love Cassandra. We've become very, very close outside of work. Love her. I can't say enough great things about her. I think she's fantastic. I'm so glad that GH has her. I wish they would do more with her and her character. I wish they did more with us as the co-chiefs. But I'm going to tune in and see what they do with her as chief of staff, see what happens. But I think she's fantastic.
And Kathleen Gati, who plays Liesl, your on-screen mom. How was that saying goodbye and doing those final scenes?
It was really hard. It was really hard. I do kind of look at Kathleen as somewhat of a mother figure for me in my personal life. And we had a really nice bond. I mean, she was there from almost the beginning of my start on GH. And I just love what we did together on the show. I think she's so incredibly talented and kind, and I just love her.
Those final scenes were, it was kind of hard and awkward, right? She's like, you're laid out on the thing with the cut. That I was like, I don't know if I loved, like,
yeah.
What happened here is Britt, as a doctor, knew what was happening to her.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anyone else knew what was, like, at first.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like, what is happening? Yeah. What is going on? Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting because leading up to my final day, that final week, I didn't know how Britt was going to die. And I kept asking, like, head of wardrobe and one of our producers, like, oh, have you read the script? Like, what's happening? How's Britt going to die? Because this is how I saw it. I knew that they couldn't have her die with Huntington's disease. We didn't have the time. We didn't have the budget. It wasn't going to happen, sadly. Which was sad because we built so much around that, and it was very meaningful. And especially people that are dealing with that, I think they liked seeing that storyline and getting the recognition. And I wish we could have done something with it. But because of time, we couldn't. So I was thinking, well, they're going to have her is it euthanized or euthanasia? Like, choose euthanasia, medical suicide, because
yeah.
How else would she die? So I'm on stage one day in between takes, and I'm like, Frank, hey, so what's going on? I haven't got a script. How's Britt going to die? And he was like, so you're going to die by the hook. And with the hook, the one thing at the end of it all, I didn't mind it. I was trying to find where it would allow me to show the audience that at that moment she was choosing to let this kill her instead of Huntington's. And maybe it came off that way. I don't think it really did, but I was trying to find a way to say that, but it wasn't in the words. There wasn't really a moment where I could. So, I thought Kathleen did a wonderful job. There's some things about my performance that I would totally change, but they wanted me to like cough up,
right, the blood,
and foam or whatever you call it.
Like,
hopefully the foam didn't come out. Only the blood did, because that just would have been terrible.
I just remember when it was scratch, I was like, oh, see, that's one thing. She knew. She knew,
yeah.
Poisoned, but at first we're like, oh wait, what?
Yeah.
So when you were having to do that and then you're dying and she's acting circles at that moment, Kathleen, what was that like, just having to like play dead and is that tough?
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I remember I was like, before we went up to shoot that stuff, I was like YouTubing how to die, like how do you do this and make it look believable, because I wanted it so much to look real and believable and for people to buy it. And it is really like when you, I didn't have dialogue, and I was just kind of, but I was in an emotional place. I did feel something, I did feel Britt saying goodbye. It was tough stuff. It really was challenging.
I could see it being tough in all sides of it, right?
And then I had to worry if the camera was shooting up my dress. There was just so much going on.
Because I remember that, like, she's laid out on the thing, and I'm like,
it's like,
that was the thing, is that, but I do feel like when she was dying, she kind of was accepting it, kind of, right? Because because in her mind, she would have gone off to potentially die anyways.
She was so terrified of the Huntingtons, and and maybe I'm wrong to say this, but I think she was really afraid of how people would view her, when things really got to that point, because you completely lose who you are. You're no longer the person that people know you to be. And so that's why she chose to leave and go and be by herself. And as sad as that is, and shitty as that is, I guess, for her, that was like the only answer. So when she got nicked, it was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to go anyway. I mean, maybe not. She could have gone to the hospital, but she just decided to.
And on that note, I'm just wrapping up this hook part. When you had to do the scenes where you saved Jocelyn with the purse and the thing, were those hard to film too? That
was pretty easy. The stunt double who played the hook, she's fantastic. And that was actually really easy stuff to shoot. It wasn't hard at all.
Okay, so it wasn't like it was choreographed easy. No.
Choreographed. It was like very, very minimal amount of choreography. It was great.
So are you planning on watching the show even though you're not on it? Or how are you going to deal with that? Are you just going to like remove yourself and like let time go and peek in?
I mean, I'm sure I'll I mean, I used to watch GH every once in a while before I got on the show. So, I'm sure I'll tune in and see what people are doing. But
are you submitting yourself for the Emmy this year?
I am. I'm not like feeling super confident that I have a lot of stuff, but I'm going to try, see what happens. Yeah.
I think you've got some stuff, but we didn't discuss it. But
I know you did. I love you.
I know. I got it in my head. I was going to say now, are there shows on television or film? Like, what excites you? Would you love to do? Like, what role? What show? Where do you see yourself? Like, we all see ourselves. Like, I have to visualize, since I'm singing and songwriting now and doing that. Like, where do I see? Like, what kind of, I'm doing pop dance, or I'm doing like what? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to do movies. I've wanted, since I started acting, that's where I wanted to go. I've kind of gotten sidelined a little bit. And in that process, the industry has changed where, people go to the theater, but not as much. And now there's the streaming. And so I definitely see myself in the streaming world. HBO, Amazon. I'd love to do an action show or like a dramedy or honestly, like something like Yellowstone would be so badass, because I'm from the South and I have that like Western tomboy vibe. So tomboy, yeah. I was like, why did I say that wrong? Yeah, but definitely something that's a little bit, I'm really looking at writing. Like I want like something that's really just, I can just sink my teeth into and have like this incredible character, maybe learn a skill set. I don't know. I'm the one thing that, I love about movies is that you can go and shoot a project and you meet these amazing people and you have this incredible experience together, or you don't, and then you leave, and you go on to something else. And the thing with Daytime, and it was like, it was too, as crazy as it sounds, it was too consistent. I needed variety. I needed to be like not working for a while and then go and do a project and it takes up all of my time. And then I play a different character over here. And then I'm doing a drama and a comedy. And like, I have so many interests.
And you explained it perfectly. I mean, that's what the actors who are on Daytime, there's that trade-off. Like, am I trading off getting to, at a portion of my life to go play other roles for the security of this, which is there's a sameness and repetitiveness to it.
Yeah.
And it's always those choices, right? We all make these choices. But I do think it's important when you're younger to, if you're gonna go. Yeah. Because I think we, and not to say, because there are amazing actors in Daytime, as you know, amazing. But you get stuck in a, like I am been even stuck, right? In my part of it. Like I tried to reach out, and I wish I would have branched out earlier.
Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah. It's a double, it's like, it's great. It's an amazing training ground. Most of the time as an actor, you're so broke. You don't know what it's like to make money. You don't know what it's like to be able to pay your bills consistently. And if you can get on a soap opera, it basically kind of gives you this somewhat beautiful, decent lifestyle. And you're like, wow, okay, I can work. I'm acting, I'm paying bills. This is great. And then you see the years just kind of float by and you're like, wait a minute, I wanted to do other things, but I'm so grateful for my time I never thought that I would do a soap, but I'm so grateful for my time on the show and to be able to, look back on that. It's one thing when I was leaving, I'm looking at the lights, I'm looking at the sound stage and just really soaking it in, because I'll never do something like that again. I'll never be on a soap opera again. And it is such a specific, unique part of the business and acting and making a television show. And it was really wonderful. It was really wonderful.
What do you remember about, now looking back, what was your audition like? Or did you audition?
I didn't audition for Britt. So I auditioned, the role that I auditioned for, they said it was like Jason's nanny, but I don't know if that's what it was. I know, how funny is that, right? But I don't know if that's what it really was. But I didn't get that role. And then like a week later, Mark Teschner called my manager and they're like, hey, we do have this role coming in. She's like a bitchy doctor is coming into town to cause problems. We think Kelly would be great for it. Would she take it? So they just offered me Britt. And I was like, okay, cool. This is gonna be fun. Let's do it. Not knowing or even thinking about, when I got the offer to be on the show as a contract character, I thought that I was sucking so bad. I was like, oh my God, I'm not doing a good job. I'm sucking. Frank wants to come over and talk to me. What's happening? I'm in trouble. I was freaking out. And he's like, hey, we want to offer you a contract. And I was like, what? No way. And then it took me like 2 weeks to decide if I wanted to do it, because I had so many things going on outside of the soap world that were like, almost like I was booking primetime, like about to book like things were happening. And so I was like, I don't know what to do here. It's a tough decision because, in reality, like we get time off, but we don't get that much time off to where you can go and shoot another show, or the schedule. It's not as flexible, I think, as people think it is, especially actors coming on. They're like, oh, I have time off. I can go and audition for other things. Yeah, no, you really can't.
In Jason Thompson and Teresa Castillo, and you had that for that, she comes on to the nurses' ball and we remember working with Jason and Teresa, and I mean,
I
that
loved it. What
so
a great way to start. What a
it's such
great way to start.
and on that note, I wanted to say you must have been sad to hear about Sonia Eddy's passing.
Yeah,
What can you say about
she was wonderful. She was just so wonderful, so funny, always laughing. I was shocked, honestly. I know she had a couple of
Yeah.
health concerns, but I think it took us all by massive surprise. I actually heard from our costume designer texted me, hey, Sonia's in the hospital. She may not make it. And I was like, wait, what? It's awful. Yeah, I don't know what else to say except for it's a loss, a big, big loss.
It was so sad. I loved Sonia. I knew her for years. She's
Yeah.
great. When you left, so you filmed your scenes, you died by the hook, you've done these, those were your last scenes. Was it shot out of order or in order?
No, it was shot in order. My last scene was in the hospital with, my mother giving that speech over me and me trying not to breathe.
So when they said cut, it's over.
Yeah.
You're dead. You've wrapped a GH.
Yeah.
Was it like, hey, bye? How was the?
Oh no, like everyone came out. Yeah, producers came out, crew came over, we all hugged, I cried. I gave as many individual hugs to people as I possibly could. I didn't want to leave the stage because I was like, this is it. It's done, and I'm never, I may never see these people again. And it was so wonderful. The crew, the camera operators, they were awesome. I loved going to work and making them laugh and talking with them in between takes. And they work so hard. And yeah, I'm really going to miss seeing them. And
you always know in a soap opera when you've hit a home run, when the crew
either
cries, applause, or laughs.
Or they come over to you and they're like, that was incredible.
Oh, that was great.
They do.
I do. I feel like I really mean this. Like, I feel they're the best barometer because they're singing all day long.
Yeah. Right? They have to sit through it.
Right. And then they're like, that was so good.
So true. That is so true. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
they're the best.
Boyfriend, family, did anybody watch these final shows?
Yeah, my boyfriend and I actually watched it here together. He was like videotaping me as I'm like watching it like this. It's just weird to see yourself dead, that was a little strange.
Well, what did he think of your work?
We had a couple giggles together about certain parts, which I'm not going to mention. But he thought I did great. He's very supportive and sweet. And then my mom watched it. And funny enough, my mom she cries a lot when she watches me. And she cried when they played the video of, all my pictures when I was a kid. But she was like, oh, the death scene wasn't as bad as I thought. But yeah, everyone watched it. My dad actually just recently watched it. And he was like, you did a wonderful job. And yeah. And then my aunts and uncles now are like diehard GH fans. My mom was like, I'm probably not going to watch it anymore now that Kelly's not on. And my uncle's like, oh, what are you talking about? I'm watching it every day. I'm watching it every day. He's on like Facebook groups. And I mean, it's just hilarious.
The other thing I wanted to touch upon is you had such amazing fans on social media. They love you. Yeah, and you were so good with them. You would, communicate and you gave your parting thoughts and everything. Obviously, what's great about soap operas is you build this core audience and they do go with you.
Yeah.
So you'll have that, but what about what the fans were saying? Was that touching to you? Or?
It was so touching and I couldn't read it all, honestly, because like I said, I felt guilty taking that away from them, even though it wasn't necessarily all my decision. Yeah, it was hard. And reading like misinformation and things like that of them not really understanding why. That's why I'm glad we're doing this and I'm being so honest, because hopefully people will somewhat get it and continue to watch what I do. And I love my fans. I mean, the fact that they like got on board with this crazy character, and even me at that point in my life, I was I did some inappropriate things at times, so I had people that like really stuck through and supported me and it meant so much to me.
I think we knew, and, I knew, as somebody who's done this for 30 years, like I always know, and I've said this to you before, I knew when I saw you on screen that you had that it factor. I knew this was somebody that, and it was different, it was different. And when there's something different, it's amazing because you don't get that same old. And to go from this britch to everything else, by the end of it, you're like, oh, Britt, because before they were hating on, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a testament to you that you brought that all around. Really, really amazing. I can't wait to see what you do next. I know it's always scary.
It is scary. Very scary.
We take, we go make these leaps.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's days that I'm not saying you're doing this, but there's days where I'm like, oh God, what did I do? But then when you go back to it, you're kind of like good with your decision too.
When I got at GH the first time, I couldn't get a job. My confidence was so low, and I had to go back to serving tables, and it was awful to have people that you're waiting on recognize you from a soap opera. It was terrible. It was really it really messed with your ego big time. Not that I really have one, but you know what I mean? Like, you're like, and then you second guess it. But you just go through that wave. It's going to be shitty, or maybe it won't be for some people. But for me, it was the first time. And I don't know what's going to happen this time around. I'm working really hard. I feel really good about myself and my work and who I am now as an actor and just in my personal life. And, I'm dabbling into hosting. I'd love to host like a travel show or like a Food Network show.
Amazing. Yeah. You would be so great. That's great. No, now that
Yeah. So I'm kind of reaching, I'm stretching myself and just going after a bunch of different things. So hopefully it's going to be easier this time around.
Last time. Well, the world has been so upside down. You just never know where anything's going to go. I am so glad we got to do this. I did not want you to be like gone with us, to not have a final interview on this, to really button it, because I've talked to you along the way, and I adore you, and I wanted to make sure we had this opportunity to talk and all of that and speak.
Me too.
Yeah, I really did. Congratulations on an amazing run. Beautiful work.
I wish I could hug you right now. Thank you.
You should be so proud. And I think, who knows what's going to happen next? Sometimes there's beauty in not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm trying to lean into that. The unknown, it's exciting. Right? Right,
it is.
So I'm leaning into that, and I'm just taking every day and making it the best. And I love the fans, and my time on GH has just meant the most to me. So. All right. And so getting to know you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we can literally take our interview progressions through the years, which is what I love. I love having documented time.
Yeah. So cool.
It's so cool. That's what's so cool. So maybe I'll see you at the Emmys.
Maybe. I hope so. I'm out there. I'm meditating. I need my sister.
Did you do supporting or lead?
I did supporting last year, but this year I would do supporting. Yeah, I would do supporting.
Supporting, yeah.
I mean, I just know
sometimes, yes, I think supporting's correct, like the right move, but sometimes people switch categories.
I think if I had more of a year last year, I would have, but there was a lot of time that they didn't know what was going on after Jason left. And I was just kind of fiddling with my medical folders in the hub at GH, like, what's going on, so.
It was really great to do a nice button on this and wrap up your time in GH. So
it
much
really
love to you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone, so much. I love you guys.
Bye, Kelly.
Bye, thank you.